Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
This vigil is a time for people to mourn and reflect, to honor what happened. This happened in Orlando. It could happen anywhere. None of us are safe until all of us are safe.
People gathered in Moorhead tonight at an event organized by the FM Pride Collective. They came to pray for those who died or are recovering from today's act of terrorism in Orlando, Florida. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been one of those days where you shake your head and you ask yourself why. The city of Orlando and much of the world is reeling after an overnight shooting spree at a nightclub that left at least 50 people dead and more than 50 wounded. Reporter Jay Gray tells us the Pulse nightclub is still an active crime scene right now after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history.
Oh my God, people are getting shot, dude.
Chaos during what witnesses describe as a slaughter.
Just bang, bang, screaming and loud noise, and the other guy next to me was shot.
50 people murdered, more than 50 more wounded during an overnight killing spree at the Pulse nightclub.
I thought I was gonna die. I didn't know if I was gonna come out alive.
Dozens were held hostage for 3 hours or more inside the club until a SWAT team moved in. The suspect killed during a shootout with police. Investigators say 29-year-old Omar Mateen was the triggerman, described by federal agents as a domestic terrorist. And we now know he was questioned in 2013 and again in 2014 by the FBI over possible terrorist ties.
It has been reported that Mateen made calls to 911 this morning in which he stated his allegiance to the leader of the Islamic State.
We're also told he mentioned the Boston Marathon bombing during that call just before the attack. As the investigation continues at this popular gay nightclub, Mateen's family tells NBC News he may have carried out the most deadly mass killing in U.S. history, outraged after seeing two men kiss in Miami weeks earlier. As police and federal agents scramble to find out how and why it happened, they must now also begin the grisly task of identifying the victims.
And Love, Pulse remains an active crime scene, and law enforcement is working the scene as efficiently and as diligently as they possibly can, while also being respectful of the remains of the deceased.
A staggering blow to a city and nation now mourning so many lost.
Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, authorities are trying to figure out what a man was planning to do with weapons, ammunition, and explosive-making materials in his car. Investigators know that James Wesley Howell was going to attend the L.A. Pride Festival in West Hollywood. Police there said on Twitter that the 21-year-old man from Indiana told an officer that he was arrested, that he wanted to harm gay pride event. But he didn't provide any details, and officials say they are still trying to sort out his motives. Today's terrorist attack in Orlando has a far-reaching impact, not just among the LGBTQ community there, but here in Fargo as well. Valley News Team's Giovanna Simic caught up with local leaders in the LGBTQ and Muslim communities.
I'm really deeply sad that 50, possibly more, of our brothers and sisters and friends died early this morning while they were celebrating love.
When I got up this morning, I looked at Facebook and saw it and was reading the article and just shocked.
Darcy Corbett has a friend living in Orlando. She was relieved when she found out he was safe.
This is an action that is a direct result of negative and virulent anti-LGBTQ rhetoric that's spewed on a daily basis by extremists of all religions and all backgrounds.
To have our community rocked during this time, it brings us together, but in a way that only heartbreak really can.
A time to celebrate Pride Month has turned into a time to grieve for those who died or were wounded. And some say it's also a time to remember that one person's action doesn't define an entire group.
I hope that people realize that this is not what Islam is, and we do not represent this person.
The Ahmeds are a married couple, part of a campaign called True Islam, a project that aims to distinguish the difference between true Islam and extremism.
We have this radicalization of some people, and they are doing these things which Islam does not allow, which are not part of Islam, and they don't have any excuse to do such things.
Islamophobia will not be tolerated by the collective. We stand together with the Muslim community, and we hope to support them in any way we can moving forward, as I'm sure they will support us as we cope with this tragedy.
During this time of need, both communities hope people will stand by one another in wake of this tragedy. In Fargo, Giovanna Simic, Valley News Live.
In accordance with a directive from the president, North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple has directed state government agencies and encouraged North Dakotans to fly the U.S. and North Dakota flags at half-staff as a mark of respect for the victims in Orlando. Remember to like Valley News Live on Facebook. You can follow the latest news, breaking news, weather, your updates as well anytime on your feed. Just search Valley News Live, like our page, and you'll stay informed throughout the entire day. In other news tonight, more challenges are coming this week as work continues on the 13th Avenue South reconstruction project in Fargo. Valley News Team's Natalie Parsons tells us how drivers are making it through the cones.
13th Avenue South continues to be a sea of orange. As one part of the project finishes, another one begins, and with it comes new closures.
The flow is still going, but I think people are staying away from that area, which I think is smart. I do if I don't have to.
Susie Carlson and her husband just go with the reconstruction flow. They're not bothered 13th Avenue on the north side of 44th Street is now closed, or that in the coming days the north side of 43rd Street Southwest and 43rd and a half Street Southwest will close.
I think to a degree that they've done a good job, and you just have to respect that they've got to get the job done.
For Carlson, these orange cones may not impact her trip, but for another driver it adds an additional 10 minutes. Steve Legrand travels to Fargo from Valley City and isn't happy with taking detours to avoid 13th Avenue traffic.
I understand they got to do it, but it is a nuisance.
The north side of 13th Avenue and 40th Street Southwest will reopen, as will 13th Avenue and 44th Avenue Southwest on Monday. Legrand says with the remaining closures, you still have to be extra careful.
Driving in that single lane with the barriers and all that, and making sure you're in the right spot.
Contractors on the 13th Avenue project are reminding drivers there will be one lane in each direction on the south side of 13th Avenue between 38th and 45th Street. In Fargo, Natalie Parsons, Valley News Live.
During the new closures, drivers can still access businesses on the north side of 43rd Street Southwest and 43rd and a half Street Southwest, but direct access from 13th Avenue, that's going to change. The clock is ticking for candidates to convince voters to support them before Tuesday's primary election. In Fargo, there are 2 city commissioner spots open and 11 candidates running. Some of the names on the ballot are familiar, having served the public in other ways. But other names you may not know very well. Noel Andrew is one of the first-timers on the city commission ballot, and she's taken her campaign door to door.
I think a lot of people are open-minded, so it's really nice being able to just speak to them face-to-face versus, having them not know me and having to just read from, websites and stuff. But that, actual interaction is something they actually like, and I can actually speak my view to them.
For more information on who else will be on Tuesday's primary ballot, go to our website at valleynewslive.com and click on this story. School zone changes are coming to the Moorhead, Dilworth, Glendon, Felton public school districts. The school boards will meet tomorrow to approve plans for realigning district boundaries. A task force was formed to come up with plans that wouldn't hurt the district or its residents. Plans include a combination of parcel transfers and a phased-in transfer process. And if you discover something suspicious and you want it checked out, call our whistleblower hotline. We'll go to work to investigate it. Call our whistleblower hotline now. The number's on your screen, 701-237-6576. Do that and leave